All right.
It's live. There you go.
Yay. More technical technical issues, but we figured it out. All right. That's good. So, Middle Alliance ranking of Megadeth's Rust in Peace, with me, Tim Eaton. We got George G from George G's Room of Rock, and Tim and his wife Robyn. Tim from that thrash metal guy 79, and I'm sure anybody watching will have potentially seen some of our other rankings or videos that we've done, mostly focused on hard rock and heavy metal. So it was about a month and a half ago that we had done the ranking for, what was it, Megadeth's.
Down to extinction. I feel like it's been longer than that.
Yeah, maybe it was 2 months ago.
Last thing we did was our top 15 live albums.
Yeah, that was a good one too. So, but I'm excited about this one. So, do we want to get right into it? How do you guys want to?
That's cool.
You're
with
running
me.
the show.
I don't have anything lined up to show, so yeah, I'm good for just getting right into it. And of course, if anything pops into your heads you want to speak about at the ends, that's fine. I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start. Tim, we'll go ahead and start with Robyn. We can, ladies first. Robyn.
Ladies first. That's it.
And you, and we can go in kind of reverse order, and then George, and then me.
Since we're doing ladies first, we'll go Robyn, George, me, and then you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, okay.
I can clap them for you if you want me to.
That's okay. Tim wants to get done early. Wants to see Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl, so.
I have no interest in seeing any bunny.
Me neither. I'd rather see Bugs Bunny.
There we go.
So before I begin my list, this was very hard for me to pick from this. So my stuff is all over the place, probably, compared to y'all's. Are we going from bottom to top? Okay.
Top, yeah.
So my first one is Five Magics. And I know some people will say that how dare you, but that's just, like I said, this has been hard for me to choose this list. So that's what I'm going with for my first one.
Yeah, there'll be no judgment, because these albums are hard to. It's hard.
No judgment. Everyone's opinion is different.
I can't fall out of my chair in this one because there's somebody beside me. So I don't think it'd be anybody's surprise to know that I picked Dawn Patrol as my last place song. To me, it just doesn't offer enough. I don't know. I mean, it's got a nice little bass little thing going on, but other than that, I mean, it's like less than 2 minutes. Unless if it was going to be a less than 2 minutes, like almost like crossover song, that'd be cool. But I don't know. It drones for the less than 2 minutes and feels like it's forever.
Well, that's my number 9 too, Dawn Patrol. To me, it's just an intro to Rust in Peace, the song.
Yeah,
that's all it really is. It's a long intro, but not as bad. But yeah, it's not really a full song in my opinion. But it's that's my last one too.
And it was my last one. That was my number 9. It needed to be fleshed out more, and it was probably never intended to be a true song. Just a little, like you said, intro or a little segue. It's interesting. It's just not. I'm not gonna throw in the CD and be like, oh, I'm gonna start listening to Dawn Patrol.
I think if they had ended it as a build up to Rust in Peace, maybe it fits in better. But it's like it just ends, and then you got Rust in Peace that starts up at a completely different tempo. So I think if it had like a crescendo between the tracks, maybe. But you know, hopefully when we go see him in September, we don't have to worry about it being played live.
I doubt it. I doubt.
All right. What is my next one? Let's see here.
Get your paper.
Right here. Poison was the cure. And like I said, I have no. My first choice, of course, I have reasons behind it, but this whole album was just, like I said, hard for me to even rate because I love all the songs on there. So
I also picked at it as my number 8. I first heard this album 8 years after it came out. I just graduated boot camp, went to my my training school, and went to the exchange on bass, and was going through the music section, just buying a crap load of CDs because I could actually do it without getting in trouble at this point. And I heard like maybe 3 or 4 Megadeth songs based off MTV and stuff like that. So I went and bought every Megadeth CD, and really, other than Dawn Patrol, I feel like this album is like it's so hard to rank, in my opinion. I feel like it's almost kind of like High and Dry was, except you really did have a clear cut last song, in my opinion, at least. Um, but yeah, Poison was. I have that as my number 8. But after 8 or even 7, I think any of my top 6 could be number 1 depending on my day.
I have to agree both. That's my number 8 too. Poison was the cure. A good song, but it's just not, I guess, quite as good as the other ones on there. So that's why. Doesn't stand out as much as the other two do. So, but that's my number 8 too.
Well, this is where I'll branch off from you all, and I went with Lucretia for number 8, and just listening to the song, not bad. I enjoy it start to finish. But looking at the lyrics, I'm like, King Diamond did it better. It gives me that feel of them. Yeah.
But I think in Dave's case, it was kind of like a true story. Like he had an aunt that I guess like passed away or something, and he like really did feel like he was there in the house. To my understanding, anyway, from what I've read online and stuff.
Yeah, and it's possible that might have been, that could have been a topic. It could have been lyrics that he had wrote earlier. I think like Mary Jane, different song. There's a lot of differences between them, but it's not bad. But it's not. Actually, I was, Dawn Patrol and Lucretia, I was struggling with which one was going to be 8, which one was going to be 9, but that one had to bump up just because it's a full song. And there's some outstanding guitar playing in it. And of course, that whole band was fantastic.
I think the top 8 songs, period, each song has its own flow and they flow very well. It's not, a same album where you could look at the follow-up, Countdown to Extinction, and there are some distinctions into some of the songs, but each of these songs have their own thing going for them.
True.
Next me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next one was Holy Wars, only because I felt that was overplayed when it was popular. I love the song though, but it's just, to me, it was overplayed because I was then when it was popular, so I was that old to know. I was always on MTV all the time, so.
My number 7 is Lucretia. I don't know. To me, it's like I don't know. I can't explain. Like I could put it higher, really, if I wanted to, but because, like I said, after the last 3, I mean, anything can be interchangeable. But like I said, I really like the flow and the kind of the back and forth that Dave's doing, kind of with his vocal style on that song. Something had to be 7, so that's it.
We got 2 viewers. We got When Words Fail, Music Speaks, who says, "Hey guys."
That's my buddy Andy.
Hello,
Yeah.
Andy.
We had him on the GTR Rock Realm a while back for what was it? Favorite bands from other countries.
Cool.
Who was our number 2?
Yeah, who's the other guy?
Who's our other viewer?
I'm sorry. It does not show me. Now it's just one. But if they type a message, then I can see who it is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, my number 7 is 5 Magics. It's like, again, like Robyn said, it's hard to pick the songs, but 5 Magics is a good song. Just other ones I like better.
You guys are killing me with the disrespect for that song.
What disrespect? Didn't Can't Think of All ever won?
No, there's no disrespecting this album. Even
no, it's hard to pick.
It's fun. It's just too short. So yeah, I'm gonna. My list. It's the same thing. Number 7 was 5 Magics.
Tim's gonna leave.
That song. I feel like that song could be on Peace Cells. It has that 87 thrash sound to it. So like I could take that song and throw it on that album, and it would work perfectly. My only issue with it is it takes 2 minutes before it unleashes its wrath. You got to go through that 2 minutes before you really get, before Dave utters a word, and it feels like the beginning's a little dragged out. Other than that, it's a fantastic song.
I like the intro to it. I think it's very coming off the song previous. I think if you listen to it on a CD anyway, coming off the song, prior to that, it's kind of like feels like an extension almost. And then like for me for that song, where it is that last third, like right after the vocal part where he's kind of repeating what he's saying about the hunting the Abyss Lord and all that. When they get to him with all that, and then that fucking riff that comes in right after that, and then that solo right after that, to me just kicks that song into higher gear.
It's a great tune.
All right. Next one I have is Lucretia. And like I said, there's no rhyme or reason for this one. So that's where it goes in my ranking.
Yeah, sometimes there's no words for. You just got to say it's a song. It's good. It gets this
right.
Right. My number 6, and I think it's probably more because it was probably more played than Holy Wars was, is Hangar 18. I feel like to me that song, I needed more lyrically. Like you get 2 verses, and then you get like a 4-minute riff solo trade off, or at least it feels like it's that long. So that's why I have that down at number 6.
My number 6 is Tornado of Souls. Again, good tune. It's really it's so hard to say, but with this album, what to pick, But it's just the one I picked. Tornado of Souls, still good tune. The other ones I just like a little better. Like I said, it's just tough. I kept doing it.
It definitely has the best guitar solo on the album.
Yeah, definitely.
Marty's guitar solo there is just so insane. I mean, I feel like never have obviously been in the room where Dave auditions a second guitar player. I feel like he's like, do this solo when you're in the band.
There you go.
All right, number 6 for me, I put Take No Prisoners. No real reason. That one, like it better than the 3 before, and I couldn't put it ahead of some of the other ones. To me, I kind of feel like that's Megadeth's Disposable Heroes song. I mean, that's lyrically, it's it's their kind of take on the atrocities of war, or just the fact that soldiers kind of get thrown away after the wars, kind of all being spit on. And so great song. Doesn't sound like Disposable Heroes, but similar in content lyrically.
Yeah.
And my next one would be Good Old Dawn Patrol. Unlike y'all, I love this song. I know it's short, but I just love I don't know, just how it sounds, the bass, how it's being played. I mean, I wish it was longer, honestly. So
there was another song we were listening to last night, and it was kind of similar to what she was talking about. I was like, "So you like the bass doodles?" And she's like, "The what?" I said, "Where the bass is just kind of doing this thing for a little while." I forget what song it was.
I wish it was longer. That's all I gotta say.
My number 5 is Take No Prisoners, and a big portion of why it's in my top 5 is being a former veteran, working around veterans, and seeing, basically, like, Dave says in the song, just the way that veterans are treated afterwards, and how it's the care a lot of times is very minimalistic. The line in there that says, "By the way, son, here's your wheelchair. Like, thanks for everything you did. We got a wheelchair. It may or may not work, but we gave you one. So we did what we said we were going to do. We gave you one." And to me, I feel like that has to be in the top 5 for me.
Well, my number 5 is Lucretia. I always like that song. I don't know, something about it that I always like, the little stupid laugh in the beginning. And there's a couple parts where they all do just like do one little chorus of "Hey," and it's the whole band doing it. I just thought that's cool. And when I don't know, something about that song that I always like.
There's always at least one part in all of these songs, except for Dawn Patrol, where where a chaos gets unleashed in that song as well.
Yes.
All right, for me, number 5, Poison Was the Cure. It is the best speed metal anti-heroin song ever written. Short, sweet, and vicious, and great song. But stuck that one at number 5. And definitely, that was Dave. I would say, he still struggled with the heroin. As far as I know, things were pretty bad with So Far So What, So Far So Good So What. Those days, the heroin addiction tore the band apart.
Yeah.
And, him getting clean and him putting this band together, David and Dave. Obviously, at this point, I think he was clean, but he was still struggling.
Yeah, I think he was. He had been to rehab the year prior, and I don't know if either of you have read his book. It came out in like 2005, 6, somewhere out there. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about a different album that they wrote when they did Rust in Peace. And I don't know how that album, first of all, was ever made. Due to everyone's drug use, and then to be made as great as it was with all that stuff going on. And one of the things he mentioned in the book, by the time they're doing this album, they had no money because it all went to heroin. And Chris Poland, reason he got kicked out of the band was he's selling all the equipment for heroin, and he screwed Dave's girlfriend too. But
yeah, I need to get that book. I was speaking to Crystal Mancaruso, who her and her husband got to meet Dave. I think it was last week at a record signing, or it wasn't a signing, no signing. It was just pictures, but it was at a music store in Franklin, Tennessee. And, people could come, get to meet him, quick picture. And she got to share with him that how his book had impacted her in finding Jesus. And so I was like, yeah, I need to.
Did you post something about that on Facebook?
About about the meeting, about him meeting folks.
Yeah, because I read something about that, and it was like very similar to what you just said.
She posted something. I might have shared it. I'd have to go back and look. But she had
I think
her
I
husband.
think you did. Yeah, you did. You shared it.
Yeah. Could have gone, but it was work. It was a school night, so I declined. But I'm
It
glad
was
that they
school.
got to go.
School night or no school night, you go to meet Dave. That's what you got sick hours for.
Well, I hope to bump into him sometime. I mean, I know what town he lives in, so maybe someday.
Yeah,
That's right. You live there.
Yeah, he lives
I
in
forgot.
now. Yeah.
I forgot that you lived there. I forgot you lived there.
Just don't get arrested.
That's stalking the guy.
It's not somebody to mess with. I mean, that's and
No.
even what Crystal was sharing. You know, he's pretty stoic, and I don't think you want to go poking around his property.
No, I wouldn't. You're gonna get shot.
Yeah. Or have a Doberman
Yeah.
take pieces out of you.
Dave's not the type that needs to have security. He has his own security.
I would imagine.
So yell at the door. You want to put a price on peace? No, I'm good. I'm gone.
All right, I think I got us off track there. So I know we're on 4, but I'm not sure who's up next.
It's me. My number 4 is Rust in Peace. Just because.
Just because. There's no wrong answers.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Holy War's Punishment Due. One of the main reasons is that opening riff is so sick, and I have it in my head 5 to 10 times a day, every day. I love that riff. I love that there's 2 stories going on, and how the first half of it calms down, and then leads into a calm down period to start the second half of the song. And then, like I said, at some point, it's a chaotic part at the ending. Where they're kind of trading off solos and stuff. And it's a very interesting story, because when I first heard that song, he's got the line of "Don't look now to Israel, it may be your homeland." At first, I was just thinking like he was talking about like a Middle Eastern holy war, and then reading his book, you find out it had to actually do with they were in Ireland on tour at the time, and I think it probably for the previous tour, and you mentioned all the stuff that was going on there, and I think there was one specific show I think where he says something about give Ireland back to Ireland, Scotland, or something about giving a country back to itself, or something that kind of sparked some federal interest on him.
Yep. My number 4 is Hangar 18. Again, great song. I remember the video, which is kind of cheesy with the little alien getting injected with whatever. But I love the ending of the song because it just gets frantic at the end. And I remember the video where Nick Benz would be doing this, what he's doing at the end of the song. I just love the way he used to do the drums for that. I just love this song. I thought that was a great tune now.
I was always confused on why Hangar 18 wasn't the name of the album, given the album cover.
Yeah, you got a good point. I always thought that too.
But it made a lot more sense. But
absolutely,
it could be one of those situations like the cover of War Pigs is, or cover of Paranoid, which should have been originally titled War Pigs, with it being called Paranoid, it makes no damn sense.
Yeah,
unless you're paranoid of the cops, I don't know. And they do have a song called "Fairies Wear Boots" on that, but I digress.
Yeah, glad that wasn't the album cover. The War Pigs are, I don't know, but then they should have had the guy going through the woods with like a pig nose on. I know they're all just for comedic purposes. All right, number 4, I put Rust in Peace, Polaris. That was a hard one. It's another nuclear annihilation song. There's always, it seems to be a lot of those. And
Yeah.
Megadeth, you know, you look at the name of the band. I mean, you have to have some nuclear wasteland songs occasionally. It's a great song. Love it. Great. You know, this when we were doing the topic of albums with the, you know, the killer first tracks and killer last tracks, this one wouldn't fit the bill because there's too many great songs in between, but those are two strong, super strong songs, you know,
Yeah.
start the album and end the album. So, yep, that's my number 4.
Number 3 is Take No Prisoners. I love that song.
Ain't no shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a badass song. All the way in.
My number 3 is Rust in Peace, Polaris. Man, like this to me, if you're gonna name the album that, because like it very rarely it's a title track to an album, the very last song. First of all, it's usually like the first or second song. Metallica made a habit of that, doing it as their second song. Um, Man, I think that just that drum intro to start off would probably rival Painkiller for drum intro to begin an album if it had been the first song. Um, there's just so much fury and everything, and then you think it's over, and then the cymbals come crashing back in, and then it launches into the last little bit of the song, and it's like, okay, I thought I could calm down, but now the intensity came back again.
I 100% agree. That's my number 3 too. It's Rust in Peace. I love the opening drum fill when it started. It's a great tune. That's what you said. It stops. So you think it's over, but it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome. Great tune.
All right, my number 3, I went with Hangar 18. You know, being an X-Files geek, I know I've said this with one of the other videos, and being a big Voivod fan, I love the sci-fi stuff. So that, you know, the imagery of the album cover, even though, again, it didn't really go with Rust in Peace, it would have been better having some, you know, nuclear missile, you know, rusting up on the silo or something. But I love that imagery. And of course, they used it for some of the Hangar 18 single. And yeah, I just think that the solos in the middle of that song are just eye melting. I agree with what Tim said earlier, that it would have benefited from having maybe a third verse in there, stretch it out a little bit. But I love the guitar playing in that song. I've never gotten tired of that.
I wish that the chorus was a little longer than just two lines.
Lyrically, it needs more to it, but it's it's another one of those ones, could have been fleshed out a little bit, but I enjoy it for what it is.
My number 2 is Tornado of Soul. Badass song, as I said before. It's hard to rank them. It really is.
My number 2 is also Tornado of Soul. That to me, it's number 2 just simply because of Marty Friedman's solo. And then you look at the story, behind it. It just was going through a break. He actually made the breakup phone call when he entered rehab. So, that first line of, this morning I made the call, the one that ended all. And then, first of all, it's hard breaking up with somebody to begin with, unless they generally deserve to be broken up with. But to break up with them in a time you probably would have needed them the most when you go into rehab, and then to see all the emotions that come out in the rest of the lyrics on that song, and then Marty's this legendary solo at the end. It could have easily been my number 1. Like I said, it's a toss of the coin some days.
It's tough. My number 2 was Holy Wars. And like Rob said, it is overplayed, but I try not to look at it from that angle. But it's a great tune, and I watch a lot of people do the stupid what do you call it, reaction videos, and they always pick that song. That's the one they always react to, and they're always like oh my god, like never heard anything like it. Well, no, you're not going to say like because you probably listen to shitty music, so you wouldn't know.
Right.
But that's a great tune. It's still a good tune. They still play it to this day live all the time, so it must be
Yep.
special for them too. So
I always like watching the reactions when it's a vocal coach, like
Mhm.
reacting to like a Judas Priest song.
yeah, they're always amazed. Victim of Changes or Painkiller blows people
Painkiller.
away.
That's usually the one in Painkiller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alfred holding out that note towards the end.
absolutely.
Yeah, my number 2 was also Holy Wars, the Punishment Due. I think it's one of the best lead-off tracks Megadeth's ever done. I love the transition mid-song, the fact that you got almost 2 songs kind of meshed into one. You go from the Religious Wars to Frank Castle, the Punisher.
Yep.
Lyrically, that second part, I mean it. I know that you can probably take away from it from some other things, events in the world and whatnot. But when I listen to it, I just think the Punisher, and it lyrically
Yeah.
it's a great song. It's just, and of course the playing. All 4 of the guys were firing on all cylinders for that one.
When I first, for the longest time, I always thought that second half of the song was about the Antichrist, to be honest. And then when I read the book and found out, and that's also not the first song he's written about the Punisher. The title track on "Killing Is My Business" was also about the Punisher as well.
That makes sense. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
Hitman for Hire.
All right, my number 1 is Hangar 18, just because that's when I first started getting into metal. I've seen the video on MTV. I was like, "What is this? This sounds great." And so that song always just reminds me of my start of listening to metal and stuff. So I was like, that has to be my number 1 because it always takes me back to my younger years. So of good times. But the
Absolutely.
song is badass too. So
That's what music's supposed to do, to get back to your younger years.
right.
Give you a trip back in time because
Right.
Back when you could see and back when you had hair.
Simpler.
Well, my number 1 is one that everybody pooped on. Five Magics.
you know what?
And it will always be my number 1. The next few could interchange, but Five Magics. Like I said, I don't mind the lengthy little intro. I think it's kind of, it's kind of in the vein of Dawn Patrol. I mean, it's not the same rhythm or cadence or anything, but it's kind of got the same thing, except there's actual guitar there as well. And I like just kind of the way some of the notes are stretched out there. And then, it gets into the meat of the song. And then, like I said, you got that last third that really just takes that song, to completion. Just my favorite song on the entire album.
Cool. Well, my number 1 is Take No Prisoners. Always love that. It's great. It's got a great intro, and then the drums kick in, and then the riff comes in, and then the drums kick in, and then there's another riff, and it just kicks in, and the whole song kicks ass. It's a great thrash song. And it'll be say the name of the song to the end of the song, which is pretty funny, but it's a great tune. It's one of my favorite songs by them, so that's why it's got to be number 1 for me.
Cool. So yeah, it looks like we all got a different number 1, and that's good. Mine was Tornado of Souls. I've loved that one for a long time. But just going back and listening to the album, and I think I would have done that regardless. I don't know. I can't pinpoint why that song always reminded me of Iron Maiden. Not that I listened to it and I'm like, I can't necessarily picture Maiden playing it, but maybe just the structure of the song. Of course, I thought that long before the Book of Souls, so there's no, it's not because the word souls in it, but it's out of all of Dave's emotional wreck relationship breakup songs, which he's got a handful of them throughout the other albums. This one is my favorite. Lyrically, I think it's amazing. I wrote down just a small portion. I warn you of this fate, proven true too late. Your tongue twist perverse. Come now, drink of this curse. Lyrically, I love that song. I just from start to finish, it's one of my favorite Megadeth songs.
The only part I don't like about that song, because it feels so corny, is the line where he says, "I think I've seen the light." It's that line plus the way he says it that kind of has me like, "Oh, you were so close." Like it's a great song, and then that just that part, I don't know if it's that specific piece that keeps it at number 2 for me. Because like I said, I could have had it at number 1 as well if it wasn't for Five Magics. If that song didn't exist, I'd had Tornadoes number 1. But yeah, I mean, I agree. That's why I had it as high as number 2. That emotional roller coaster thing. Like when they put out the Cryptic Writings album, and they had a couple songs on that, Trust and Almost Honest, and people were like, "Oh, now he's getting relationshipy in his songs." I'm like, dude, he was doing that as far back as the first album.
Yeah, almost every album.
Almost every album's got one. Yeah. If it's not a breakup with a girl, it's a breakup with a friendship, or both. In My Darkest Hour, where the music was written for Cliff Burton, but the lyrics were written about the girlfriend that Jeff Young made it with. So, and like that always kind of confused me, because Jeff was still in the band when you wrote that song together. It made more sense about the song Liar, because he'd already kicked Chris Poland out at that point. But, that really kind of, to me, always shows, who's really paying attention to the lyrics and who's not, to sit there and be like, well, now all of a sudden they have this topic. No, he's had it since day one. And even technically before Megadeth, if you really look at the song Mechanics, which he had in Metallica, wasn't technically a relationship song, but it was pretty close.
And didn't they alter the lyrics a little bit after he left?
They didn't just alter the lyrics. I mean, they altered the lyrics. They altered some of the time changes, made it a little bit slower, put a middle piece in there. So, I mean, other than the main riff, I guess you could say they're pretty much 2 different songs.
Yeah. Yep. So before we went live, looks like Ron's on, and let me throw his comment up. Robyn with the Kiss shirt.
Well, it's not Kiss, it's Hiss. It's Cat.
Hiss. It's Hiss. My boss has the same shirt, and they're like, "Oh, I love that shirt."
Yeah, I need to get one of those for my wife. So yeah, before we went live, I was telling Tim I'm glad that he chose Rust in Peace and that we weren't doing a ranking for the new one. I don't think anybody would go ranking it yet, but I've only listened to it 2 times all the way through, and I sat on the record. I had it here for a week. I was waiting for the CD to come in, and then I listened to it. So by the time I posted it online, I think everybody else had already had it for a week or plus, and probably had given it a listen or 2. And I had a bunch of friends ask, "Oh, what do you think about it?" And I'm not ready to. I like it. I don't know where I would rank it. I'm not. There's individual songs already that I kind of like better than others, but it's just too soon.
Yeah. I think it's a good album. Not everyone's reviewing it. So my friend asked, "Are you going to review it on your channel?" I said, "No, everyone's doing it. So what's one more? I was going to give a crap."
Right.
So I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do it. Just let other people do it. That's fine. I don't need to review that one." I have no problem with that. I wish they would have, if it's the last album, they would have asked maybe Marty Friedman and Chris Paul to do a song on there, because it's the last album. That would have been cool if they asked. Yes, got it, but I'm not in the band, so.
Yeah, Dave doesn't. I'm not. He may be in contact with some of the past members, but I don't know that.
We know one that he's not in contact with.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
And I have the feeling the lyrics to "I Don't Care," some of that has to do with him.
It might.
Possible.
It might. Nope. Let's see. We got a few other wrong comments here. So that's based on the shirt. Correction. You're welcome, Ron. We did.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ron.
We prayed just before we went live.
The first attempt.
Yeah, before the first attempt to get on and jump on the bandwagon. So, well, let's see. We've been on just a little less than an hour, even though we did get a few minutes late start. So it's been actually less than 40. It's been 40 minutes. Yeah. So I don't have anything else. I don't know about you guys.
I can't remember the album title, but I saw it recently. I want to say April 19th or 18th is when the New Metal Church album's coming out.
Yeah, I was looking at the pre-orders for that. I haven't jump on that.
I think you were at work when I found that out, and I forgot.
And on Record Store Day, Megadeth has
Hidden Treasures.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I've got a boot version of that.
I was about to say, yeah, because you had a boot version that had a completely different album cover.
And it has a bunch of other stuff on it that was not on. So I'm definitely holding on to that. But the Record Store Day one's going to have, I think, some demo. I believe. I think it's got it's got some additional tracks.
Yeah, there's some demo stuff on it. I'm kind of hearing it. To me, if you're going to put demos as bonus tracks, let it be a song that you didn't already put out previously. Don't let it be a minute and 22-second snippet of a song, like on the Euthanasia bonus tracks. It's not titled Millennium of the Blind, but it is that song, and there's like a minute and 22 of it, and it's like, okay, we've already heard the whole song. I don't need this little piece of a demo on here, and give me a song that you didn't have reworked, something that didn't have a previous title, and give me something nobody's ever heard before.
Yeah.
But
I prefer demos just being on a demo release, an EP, maybe even one side studio and one side demos. I'm fine with that, but I prefer not to have them tacked on at the end of an actual studio album.
And see what really sucks is, in order to get some of these albums on vinyl these days of older records, you're going to end up getting a reissue that's going to have stuff on there that you don't care about. Like so I've got the reissues of Beneath the Remains, Arise, and Chaos AD. And all three of those, especially the Beneath the Remains, have demos of the songs that were already on the album.
Yeah, I think
did some. Arise has the cover of Orgasmatron. That's cool. So I can find the needle to drop on that song, the one I actually want to hear. And then Chaos AD's got Symptom of the Universe, which I want to say maybe is the first track on that bonus half of the record. Yeah, I'm not big on endless demos, especially if they're demos of songs on that album. Like, give me a live version of something. Give me an acoustic version of something. That's cool. If you want to put same song on there, just don't give me a worse version of what's already on the record.
Yeah,
I don't. That's why you don't put those on the record, because we don't want to hear those.
Yep, true that. That's like Megadeth. They trying to think which. I think it was For Closure of a Dream. Of course, that was a single, so it was just a CD single. But they had a remix, Trent Reznor, and it was industrial, and that was cool. But again, I wouldn't want to hear that on the studio album. I don't think it was like a 9-minute song. Throwing that on the end of the album No, it's put it on a single, and that way
Right.
you're getting your single song, and you're getting a live version, or you're getting a remix, or something different. Or
And
like,
what I really hate about, well, I guess I'll go on this diatribe about singles too. Um, because I have a single, and I'm very grateful I had the single because Chris Boland sent it to me. It's a single Slam by Onyx, and there's 5 versions of the song on it.
yeah,
5, and that's all. That's all that's on there.
yeah.
So I'm like, do we really need to have the other 4 remixes? 'Cause
The rappers,
me.
a lot of the alternative bands and the rappers, because I've got an Ice-T. It was from one of the movie soundtracks, and it's the same thing. There's one with no lyrics. There's like 3 or 4 remixed ones that are they make it longer, and
Yeah,
it's got the basic original song in there, but somebody's come in and just kind of
like Fear Factory did re-put out one of their albums where it was instrumental only. Trust me, when it comes to Fear Factory, I'm not listening to it for instrumental only.
Yeah.
And by the way, no, I didn't listen to all 5 versions of the Onyx song. I listened to the LP version and then took the CD out and put something else in.
Yeah. Sometimes there's another good track mixed in there. There may be a version that that hits a little heavier, but that's typically I find 1 or 2 if it's a single like that, and then I'll listen to those.
Yeah. You know what, Timothy, you got that Kiss Destroyer box set. There's a lot of stuff that's repeated on that too.
Yeah.
Like instrumental versions or a remix version. I'm like, I don't want, I don't need all that. I want like just one set of like,
Yeah.
That's why. That's why I didn't go and get any of the Black Sabbath album box sets. Like, okay, I've heard the original album. I don't need to hear every outtake.
And some musicians, they do that. They'll put on like this. The Rory Gallagher. There's literally 6 versions of one song. They've got 5 alternate take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are alternate to the actual studio version that was released. And I don't hear I don't.
Is that the Deuce album?
Pretty well
now
to be able to hear the differences.
Now, one thing I will say about putting a demo out when it's a completely different song lyrically, that's fine to me because then it's kind of like, oh, like I'll just give for example the Cryptic Writings record had a song at the end called "Fight for Freedom," and the demo version of that was called "Bullprick." And it had completely different lyrics, completely different style to it. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the Ozman and Cummas CD that Ozzy had come out in, I guess, 98 or so. There was alternate versions of the song Black Sabbath. There was the original version of War Pigs lyrically, what that was supposed to be.
Yep.
So that's cool, especially if you want to put that on a compilation album. I mean, I can get with the alternate lyric thing, that kind of stuff. But if it's going to basically be the same, core of the song, that's why it was a demo and not a album track.
Yeah, Maiden did that too with one of their best of releases. They had, I think, two of the Soundhouse tracks. I don't know why they didn't put the whole thing. I think there's 3 of them on that original demo release, the 7-inch, but I'm fine with that. I want to hear earlier, especially the bigger bands. I want to hear the earlier version because, like you said, lyrics may be different, tempo of the song might be different,
right.
Maybe shorter, maybe longer. So it's not just hearing the same exact version of the studio song that was on the initial album.
I actually used to own 2 versions of this CD because I forgot I had it. And it was a live, I'm assuming bootleg of when Dave Mustaine was in Metallica. It was called Bay Area Thrashers, I think. And and it was a show that they had done with Dave and the band when Mechanics was still Mechanics and Metallica was doing Mechanics. And then, like at the very end of it, it's got like this little interview or whatever. So that's a cool thing to do. Have it, by itself.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll ever see a copy of that again.
Yeah, yeah. But Timmay, you were talking before how you didn't get any of those Black Sabbath box sets. I bought 3 of them. I bought like Live Evil because I wanted the remix version, which sounds absolutely amazing compared to the original. But then I bought Sabotage because I wanted the live disc in there, and I bought Technical Ecstasy because I didn't have I had an old version. I didn't have the remastered version. It also has a live disc on it, but there's also a remix of the album, which really isn't doing anything for me either.
Yeah.
But the one I think if you look at the for Volume 4, there's so much crap on there you don't need. There's like a whole disc of just like outtakes and just like different
Right.
snippets of it. I'm like a whole disc of that. I'm like ever you listen to it once, you never listen to it again. And considering the price that they want for those things, if you're gonna get on, and also if you're gonna get on records, if you're gonna get on record, forget it. It's like ridiculously priced.
And what they do is they expect, especially when they reissue an album, more so on CD anyway. When they reissue the albums and it's like with new bonus tracks and this, that, and the other. So it's like the collector is thinking, well, I gotta have the one that's got bonus tracks. No, I don't. I want to have I already have the album. If they want to put eventually do a compilation of all the bonus tracks and they're not all demos, I can get that at a later date. But I'm not going to sit there and buy. And first of all, he really jacked up the remixes on those albums because one, that the volume level on the Megadeth albums was so freaking loud. And then, I'm not saying this because I'm old, because I wasn't old when they were reissued. Because he started to reissue those before he brought Megadeth back because of his hand injury and all that. He was like, well, all I'm going to do is just reissue and he gave the name and everything to the other Dave and all that stuff. So I think it came out in, I guess, like 03 and 04 when most of them were pretty much done.
Mhm.
So, but then, there were things that are added in that you didn't expect to be added in. Like, why is there a horn section into the lungs of hell? That doesn't need to be there. Why are you making a fake ghost sound in Mary Jane, which is my favorite track on the album? And in order to get an actual original copy of those on vinyl, you're going to pay $3 billion for, and that I don't have. So now I have to deal with the reissue and just go at the part that I don't like, which I'd rather not have to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I also kind of I understand to a degree about Dave's situation because as far as he was concerned, he was retired, medically retired for the nerve injury. But you didn't need to go break something that wasn't, or fix something that wasn't broken. It just didn't need to happen. And I think that's a lot of times that's where musicians screw up when they're left to be the ones in charge of the remixes. Then you have remixes that are done very well. When Tony Iommi put out the Tony Martin box set, all those albums benefited from that remix. He didn't go add a bunch of nonsense that didn't need to be there. He didn't put any bonus tracks on there that nobody gave a shit about. These were albums that needed to be remixed, pretty much. Like Born Again needs to be remixed. It wasn't like they were albums where it's like, you know what? I don't see any money coming in. Let's put this whole new package to something old out there and see who bites and pays for it. Especially now, I don't see a lot of artists really doing that now because the physical media doesn't sell like it used to.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. Maybe if Tony would have tried this in, like, say, the '90s, maybe he would have done some things and put some bonus tracks or whatever to it. I just like the fact that when it was reissued, that I could buy it and it was affordable to buy that box set. Where trying to get some of these original copies out there is going to be like way too much money. Like, even when it was originally released, I think it was like $90 for the box set. And I was like, that's still not bad for 4 albums, but I'm gonna just wait. And I found it on Amazon for a sale for like $55, and I'm like, I'm snagging it right now. Same thing with the Dio box set that had the last 4 studio albums. I think a couple of those weren't even released on vinyl anyway. So, and I got that for $45-50. So, I don't mind reissues now of albums that are hard to get that were earlier. What I minded was the reissues of albums that weren't that old, and then you added stuff to the songs that didn't make any sense. You put demos on that nobody cares about. I'm going to end my rant on that.
And like you said, the sound, a lot of those within the last 20 years, it's brick walled. So, my equalizer, when I put the CD in, it's flat. You don't have that variation of sound. I mean, there's a little bit there, but you gotta tone it down.
Yeah, your EQ needle doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'd rather put in an old CD, and you can hear, you might have to crank it up a little bit more, but you hear the bass, you hear.
Yeah.
There are some, the Kiss reissues. I think in the late 90s, maybe, or the early 2000s, they were good. They crisped up things. AC/DC re-releases. I'm talking CDs. They were good. They helped. You could hear things. Maybe the fade outs weren't as soon, so you'd hear parts of the Kiss songs at the end that you couldn't have, you wouldn't have heard at least on CD. Maybe
that's also the difference in having an actual studio producer over it and doing the things that need to be done versus an artist that, depending on what their function in the band is, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to hear that louder than you did before, and everything else gets drowned out.
Yeah.
So
I posted the Kerry Livgren CD with that Dio does 2 tracks from.
Yeah, 2 tracks, yeah.
And I posted it on a site that, Christian website or Facebook site. And a lot of people were like, it's an awesome album, but that version you have is horrible. He didn't just remaster it, it's remixed, and there's different sounds in it. A bunch of people were saying, you need to go back and listen to the original. I've never heard the original before. So I had to go online and find a vinyl copy. I think it's supposed to show up tomorrow, but I didn't know any better. What I heard, I've enjoyed it. I like it, but apparently there's stuff added in. He put in more of the synthesizers and some of the horns up, and the guitars lower. And so, yeah, I think it was remixed in the maybe 2010 and around there. So I want to hear what it sounded like back in 1980.
Yeah, I haven't heard that version. I looked up on that in Scratch and Spin. I got a vinyl copy for $6, and only picked it up because I remember Scott Waters showing it.
Yeah,
and because I knew that Dio was on a couple songs, and I wanted to have everything Dio that I possibly could have. Who wouldn't?
Yep.
And it basically is a Christian, little heavier version of Kansas. But yeah, basically all Christian lyrics and stuff. And I ended up sending that to Ron because I know he was really trying to beef up his Christian collection. And that was one I just really don't listen to a lot. So I did, send it to him. But yeah, hopefully whatever you ordered is not a recent reissue and you get to hear, because I can tell you just the version that I had to listen to had a very dynamic sound.
Yeah. Mine's a Japanese import, so it'll be good. I've never gone wrong with any of the Japanese records I've picked up.
Do they ever tend to be more than any other version? Like price-wise?
I've found a place in Louisiana that I get mine from, and I think they're fair. I've gotten 7-inch singles as cheap as I think like $7 or $8, and the full length LPs can be. It depends on the band. They could be $12 or $13, $12 to $15. They could be anywhere from $20 to $30. Now, if it's something that's a little rare, it may be $50, $60, or $70. So, like, they may find Scorpions from when Uli Roth was on there, and if it's in really good condition, their VG Plus to me is closer to near mint minus. So I get everything I buy from this company is VG Plus, but there's no scratches, there's no wear at all on the records, and very minimal wear on the cover. And they'll tell you if there's no OBI strip. And most of the time they're the ones I buy. I usually get it with the OBI. So it depends. I see other places where they're expensive because some people go over there and they'll go to Japan and or they've got somebody they work with over there and get it, and it's costly to ship that here to the States.
Yeah, I used to get real mad when you'd find out when an album was being released and be like, and then Japanese bonus track. Why do they always get all the bonus tracks?
Yep.
Like, they used to irritate the crap out of me. I'm like, what? We're not good enough to get the bonus track too?
Not so much on the records, but the CDs. Yeah,
the CDs. Yeah,
yeah. It's like we most of the bands that had those bonus tracks were from here or from the UK.
Right. Exactly.
And and they get the extra tracks, and we don't.
You get the bonus tracks. You get the first 2 Quiet Riot records that nobody had ever heard of because they were released only in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to be fair, they were kind of dressed like traditional Japanese people on the album covers. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. But seriously, save us some bonus tracks.
Yeah. No, you'd have to pick up the UK import CD single to get, and even then, you wouldn't necessarily. All the American singles typically had just another song from the album,
right? Or like a live song from the album before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So we're at an hour, folks. And it looks like we lost our one viewer. That was probably Ron.
He's like, well, the show's over. I'm tired.
Yeah, I know.
Ron's been through enough already. He needs to rest.
Yeah. Yep. So hopefully we can do this again soon. So good topic and good choice there, Tim. At first I was like, oh, we're doing Megadeth again. And then I was like, oh, yeah, this is an album worth doing. So that was good. And I like the variety that we had in choices.
Absolutely.
So I will, I don't know. I know the one time that we ended, it just cut everybody out. I think I can end the stream without knocking everybody off, but just in case. Say good night to anybody watching or anybody who does watch, and thanks for watching. And of course, once this is up officially on YouTube, folks can leave comments if you so like, do your own ranking. Tell us if any of us were totally off on our picks, but I think all 4 of us completely love the album and slagging of any material on this album.
To be clear, you can tell them about their picks. You tell me about my picks. I'm coming to your house.
We'll send Tim after you. I'm gonna end the stream. Hopefully we won't just get knocked off. We'll see. All right.